Gonna record it then. Let's see here. Test 1, 2. We're good there. All right. Current Geek, everybody. Strap it in, because here it is. It starts in 3. Oh, that's volume is wrong. Let's fix that, and that. Okay, got it. 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek!
Current Geek!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Current Geek. That's right, Current Geek, the talk show about items of interest to the geeks of the world and you. I'm Scott Johnson. He's Tom Merritt.
I was late on the gavel. I'm sorry. Hi. It's my last mistake of 2019, I swear.
You just got back from Japan. Your arms are tired. I don't blame you. It's fine.
I'm back from the Japans.
Yes. How was
all of them?
How were the Japan from the geeky perspective we always claim to have here? How was that from a geeky perspective?
It was great. In fact, I did little three little updates for the Daily Tech News Show patrons about the geeky things I was noticing or doing there. Two things. One, I went to the Samsung Galaxy experience.
Whoa.
Which is like a 6-story Samsung store where you can't buy anything. It's just all like demos, like a VR ride through the ski slopes of the upcoming Olympics and all kinds of cool stuff like that. The other thing is paying for transit, like going onto trains with your watch.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
I bet it is. We need to have more of that here.
I just leaned down with my watch. Boom. I didn't have to touch anything because it had Express Pay activated. So as soon as it knew it was close to the Fargate reader, it just automatically launched my wallet and went to the Suica app, which is the card. Suica is the card you use to pay for transit. And then boom.
As you know, Japan lives in the future.
Sort of. It's kind of weird. Like some of their stuff, they still have Tower Records.
Oh.
And Tully's Coffee is a huge chain. So it's this weird blend of past and future all in one.
That's very cool. Well, maybe one day we will have that kind of transit system. Maybe not. But today we're going to have a certain kind of Current Geek episode, and it's happening right now. Yep. And we're going to start it with these headlines.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Oh, Tom, what's happening? What's in the wind today?
Well, you're probably not surprised at this news, Scott, but Jon Favreau on Twitter confirmed The Mandalorian will get a second season.
And this was already a thing that we kind of thought or had heard rumblings
pretty much had expected, yeah. Sure. But new episodes will arrive in the autumn. Didn't give a firm date, but somewhere October, November probably is a good guess. He included a picture of a topless Gamorrean in his tweet.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I don't know if that gives you any insight into what the next season might be about.
Scandalous. No, in fact, I didn't know what one was because I'm lame.
You didn't know the Gamorrean guards?
I just thought of them as I always thought of them as pig guards.
Well, yeah, that's not an acceptable term in Gamorrean circles.
Sure, but I'm into the idea of let's explore those a little bit. Like we know so much more about I forgot their names, but the Have Spoken guy. They're usually just...
Oh, right, the Ugnaughts.
Yeah, the Ugnaughts. And they're always so enslaved and, putting 3POs back together in Empire and stuff like that. And you never get any kind of, I don't know, deeper look at what those people are, what they're from, or what they've seen. And then this thing gave us all sorts of background. So I suspect that we'll learn more about the pig guards than we ever thought we wanted to know. And that's great.
Yeah, Gamorrean than we ever wanted.
Yeah, a shirtless Gamorrean. So season 2 ended, and not going to do any kind of official review here or whatever, but I just have to say out loud on this show and then get your take. I was just 100% delighted with it all the way through, and I loved it, and I'm so glad it exists and that they're going to do more, and it gives me hope for more long format Star Wars content in the future, including the Obi-Wan series coming, and I couldn't be more bullish on this kind of Star Wars, and I hope they keep it up.
I loved the way it started and I loved the way it ended. Few of the middle episodes I liked, few of them I didn't like as much. But overall, just had a great time with that series. Even the episode that I liked the least wasn't a bad episode.
Yeah, it's a relative thing. Actually, I'm curious though, which one did you like the least? I wonder.
The heist one. I just didn't like that crew.
See, that is so crazy to me. You're not the first person to tell me this. So a few people I know and trust and like have told me this. it ended up being one of my favorites. And I
Really?
don't, I don't know why.
And you're right there with a few of my other most trusted friends who loved that episode and called it one of their favorites of the season.
Yeah, I think it's the genre they were playing with. Because, you're a floating space prison. I'm already in. Like that, you just have to say that, and I'm in. And so they can be a little loose around the edges and not exactly cast it perfectly or any of that, and I'm still kind of okay with it. So for whatever reason, that one jammed with me hard, and I don't know why. But it's funny because it's a real division among people I talk to.
Yeah,
about these things.
I think if you dug those characters, then the episode works great.
Yeah.
Because I never was looking at the structure of the episode and rolling my eyes. It was just that I thought the caricatures were a little too caricature-y for my taste, but
Yeah, well, Mr. Krabs is a big devil man, so that's cool.
Your mileage may vary. Yeah, and there was that fight scene was excellent.
Yeah.
It was nice seeing what's his face who voices everybody in Clone Wars show up on screen, showing his face.
Yeah, same dude, right? Clancy Brown, he's great.
Yeah. And you also got 3 directors in X-Wings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you had Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
You had the director of this episode and one of the other episodes. All 3 were the X-Wing pilots.
Oh, I had no idea. That's awesome. Also, a big. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but finding out who directed the final episode was a treat. I enjoyed that. Anyway, if you guys haven't seen it, it's great. It's really the best thing going on. Certainly on Disney Plus and maybe many streaming services if you want to count them all. It's just great, and nerds should be rejoicing that they're bringing it back.
And we just went through a couple of minutes talking about The Mandalorian without using the words baby or Yoda.
Yeah, look at that. Well, until now, but yeah.
It's the child. It's not baby. No, I'm just kidding. You can call it Baby Yoda. It's good to remember that it's not, in fact, Yoda, because I think next season is going to be a lot about where that child might have originated or been cloned from.
We're also supposed to. We're under the impression from past content that not this series, but other things that race is no longer there. They were gone, wiped out, whatever. So I'm super excited to see where this goes. Is he cloned? Is he or she? We don't even know what the gender of the thing is, or that it even matters for that race. I don't know. But I'm dying to know more about that. Even if it's a dead end or they don't find his people, I want to know more about the actual people, because Star Wars has been, kind of hush hush on where Yoda comes from. So bring it.
Yeah, we don't even know the species name.
No, we don't.
It's kind of unusual. They usually come up with everything for a species in the background.
If you were to name the species, what would you call it?
I would call it the mushquats.
All right, I like it.
Yeah, which is why they've never admitted what the species name was, because it's a really silly name.
I think it should be they should be my home this is, but it's one word. It's not a phrase.
Hey, real quickly, we want to acknowledge that this Current Geek is being recorded and streamed as part of the Diamond Club New Year's Eve Streamathon, and we'll be ringing in the UTC New Year, also the New Year for London and Dublin, in just about 18 minutes here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. And also, this is all part of the Streamathon to raise money for the Extra Life Children's Miracle Network Hospitals charity. So go check out the diamondclub.tv donor drive over there at extra-life.org as well.
Yeah. And thanks to those guys for letting us be involved. We actually don't do a lot of live streaming for this particular show anymore, but it's fun to dust it off and do it for this. And it's, it's for the kids. Let's do it for the kids.
And if you're watching live, you can head over to twitch.tv/DC Streamathon and catch all the people streaming as part of this.
Nice. Very nice.
NASA is close to completion of an aeroplane that flies faster than the speed of sound, but has a gentle thump, not a sonic boom.
Ooh.
Because one of the problems with the Concorde jet is you couldn't fly it in certain places because residents didn't want to hear a big sonic boom all the time. So the plane, which its official name is X-59 Quiet Supersonic Technology, or Quest, with two S's, is now cleared for final assembly and integration of its systems. Lockheed Martin is building it. Should be approved for its first flight sometime next year or this year, depending on when you're listening to it, sometime in 2020, with a launch in 2021. Test flights are planned to happen over selected U.S. communities to gauge public perception of the thump and see how much it bothers them.
I would love to hear the thump a sample of the thump, which I clearly they don't have yet because they need to fly one to do it.
Right.
But yeah, what does that sound like? And is it as cool as I think it is? Because it sounds cool, man.
Is it a thump or a thump?
Yeah.
Or a, yeah.
Like a. I'm trying to think of what would be a good comparison. If it's
Or
a
pop.
Yeah, a little pop.
Yeah, but they think this will allow them to do a lot of flights that they can't do right now because they could take off from more places without having to worry about noise pollution, that sort of thing.
Are they worried? Do people think that that's a really loud sound when you pop the sound barrier?
Well, the Concorde definitely ran into problems where it could not take off from certain airports because the sonic boom was considered a nuisance.
Interesting, and not just See, I would always. When I would hear one, I've heard them before. We live by an Air Force base, and once in a while we hear them. And to me, they sound like explosions, right? And so I could see why that would be a benefit to have something not sound like an explosion, so you don't suddenly have your 911 lines filled with questions about what's going on. I heard 3 explosions. I'm sure that kind of happens to public service stuff when big sounds are heard, so that makes sense.
Well, and imagine you're not living right next to the Air Force base, but a lot of airports are next to residential neighborhoods. And imagine how much louder that is when it's taking off over your house.
Oh my gosh, I didn't want to think about it. It's cool though.
It could break your china.
Yeah.
If you had china.
I don't have china, but if I did, I will be glad when it's just a gentle
your good
thump.
crystal would be in shatters.
Sure.
Yeah. Greg Murray, professor of psychology at Swinburne University, Australia, believes that adjusting work hours in the winter could help improve not only productivity, but get folks over the winter blues, including possibly seasonal affective disorder. Because there's all ranges of this. There's the winter glum blues, this cabin fever people talk about, all the way up on a spectrum to like serious seasonal affective disorder, which presents as a acute depression. Murray notes there's reason to believe that the delay of light in the winter, sun comes up later because we have shorter days, could cause a phase delay in your circadian rhythms because your body doesn't think it's time to get up yet. And so that would make it harder to get out of bed at the same time because your 7 a.m. doesn't change even as the sun comes up later and later. Studies of pre-industrial societies in South America and Africa suggest that humans just naturally sleep more in the winter because of this, and that sticking to consistent hours through all seasons causes what chronobiologist Till Ronenberg calls social jet lag.
Oh.
So it's like jet lag, but you didn't travel anywhere. It's just that the time the sun comes up and sets changes. The phenomenon is well studied among people who live at the western edge of time zones as well. This was a part of this article I found fascinating. Some time zones are so wide. Spain is probably one of the worst examples. It's below a different time zone, but considers itself part of the same time zone as the UK, even though it's far to the west. Folks who live on the western edge of time zones often have higher rates of breast cancer, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease because the sun's coming up an hour later, but they're still going to work at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m.
But that's interesting. Like if they can show that correlation and it's, a solid scientific correlation, we should change that. We should do something.
It's especially the egregious ones where the time zones are wrong, like Spain, right? Spain wants to be on the Central European time because they just want to be doing business at the same time as France and everybody. I guess that kind of makes sense. But if it's causing damage, if it's causing people to be unhealthy, Spain famously has the weird, siesta, not weird, but they do the siesta. They take it seriously where we don't. Although that goes back from before time zones, so I'm not sure how much that plays into it. But all kinds of thoughts on this, but definitely adjusting when you get up could potentially make you more productive. If workplaces said, we want you into work an hour after the sun's up.
Right.
That would make more sense than saying we want you to into work at 8 a.m.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating to me. I'm trying to think I get a little grumpy in the winter, and I am tired in the morning more than I am in the summer. I notice it. It's definitely a thing for me. I can't speak for everybody. I don't know what I would do. Like I kind of have a set schedule almost every day because of the morning show.
Everybody does, right?
Right. So, yeah. So I guess I'm not that different than anybody else. That's interesting.
It would require a social change, right? It would
Right.
require enough businesses to say, oh, our workday now starts an hour after sunup versus at a fixed time. For you and all of the morning shows, the other morning shows in existence to say, well, then we can shift to later because that's when people will be getting up.
Yeah. I mean, this doesn't get into it after I peruse the article, but going to bed earlier the night before isn't necessarily the answer, although that's probably not going to hurt. Try to eat that hour a different way.
No, it's not about the amount of sleep you get exactly. That seems to be part of it, but it's about when your body thinks it's time to get up. Gotcha. And that's where melatonin production, and that's where the social jet lag part comes in, which is your circadian rhythm thinks, when I start to see sunlight, it's time to wake up. Or your rhythm could even be set to where you know that the sun is coming up. Maybe you even sense a little bit of twilight. And so you kind of keep your rhythm to that, which is why when you travel, a lot of times they say, make sure you go outside in the sunlight to kind of reset your body to know what time it is to get over jet lag faster. So you need to get up at a time relative to the sun, not just go to bed earlier. It's not about the amount of sleep you get entirely.
So this is probably why, I know this is a fictional tale, but TNG spent a lot of time in the holodeck. And I think I may understand why, because you need those experiences for your body to go, oh yeah, humans know when the sun's out. Humans know when the light's on, when it's out, when you got to sleep, when you don't. Like, we haven't really thought about it very hard, but the future of space travel, big part of it's going to be, we got to recreate a lot of this stuff artificially because humans aren't going to just evolve out of it naturally. Or not quickly, I should say. Maybe they will naturally over time, but anyway, fascinating stuff.
No, it's fascinating stuff. Back to television. Season 4 of The Expanse finally returned to Amazon Prime Video this month, and it turns out it may be the best season of the show yet. Not just qualitatively, although I think that's true qualitatively, but quantitatively as well. The show was Parrot Analytics' 7th most in-demand digital original in the week that it debuted, and it had a 34% bump over its previous viewership. That was one of the reasons it left the Sci-Fi Network, because they couldn't get the ratings together. It turns out that people just wanted to stream it.
Yeah, it was doing. I think Amazon clearly saw that when they decided to go ahead and buy it and keep it going. But let me ask you this: if somebody has gotten through season 1 and 2 and really enjoyed them, but they haven't quite consumed 3 yet, but they're hearing so many great things about 4, should they go get a synopsis on Wikipedia of 3 and then jump right to 4? Or do you think it's worth sitting through 3?
No, I would definitely watch 3. It's worth it. None of the seasons are bad. I feel like season 4 is as good as the first season, if not better. Seasons 2 and 3 weren't quite as great for various reasons. But I also, the 4th book, which is what the season 4 covers, is my favorite of the Expanse series of novels. So I may be a little biased there in liking this, but they're all good seasons. And I think you need to experience the story as it's being told. It's not the kind of story that wastes a lot of time. So you'll want to find out what those events were in season 3. And I think you'll want to live them by watching rather than just reading a summary.
Well, I guess thanks Jeff Bezos then for saving, really honestly, one of the only true science fiction TV shows that was on cable TV.
And I wouldn't wait. I would go binge on that tonight. Cancel your New Year's plans. Just like, it's that good. It is so good. I highly encourage everyone to dive in, even if they haven't watched a single episode. Start from season 1. I envy you that you have 4 seasons of The Expanse to experience, because definitely the best science fiction show since Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. And also that first season, the Miller stuff is so good. Like, you just have to do it. It's great.
No spoilers, but
yeah,
there's lots of good stuff.
There's lots of good stuff to come.
Yes, so good.
Right.
Yeah, no, I guess it's safe to say if you like that Miller stuff in season 1, you're going to love season 4.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I haven't watched it yet, but I will take your advice. I was going to rip through The Witcher starting tonight, but maybe tonight instead I'll catch up on The Expanse.
Witcher's good. I'm 2 episodes into The Witcher, but it's slow.
Yeah.
I feel like The Expanse is just, I don't know. I feel like it moves better.
It's fast.
All right, we've got just under 6 minutes till London, Dublin, New Year's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exciting.
Yes. Great question. It is the same director and writers. The only thing that changed is the delivery channel for The Expanse.
Oh, which is great, by the way, because the cast, the writers, the director, showrunners, they're all super passionate about this thing. So, and it shows. At least I felt like it shows when that show's on. So I'm so excited.
Same production team.
They're all together.
Scientists from Canada's McMaster University have developed a form of plastic wrap that repels bacteria, even superbugs, the antibiotic-resistant bacteria. The coating of this new plastic wrap has nanoscale wrinkles that can block external molecules. So it's not just bacteria, water, blood, bacteria. None of it can stick to this because of the geometry of the surface at a very small scale. It can be shrink wrapped onto most surfaces, including door handles, railings, and IV stands, and could also be used to package food.
I'm in. Why not do this? Let's do it now. Wrap me in it.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I mean, I've gone
in a bubble all day long.
I've gone this entire fall and winter cold and flu season with none. I've got nothing. And everyone around me's gotten sick, and I thought, oh, my time is limited. I'm going to get it. There's no way I'm going to make it through this. And somehow I have avoided all viral infections.
Did you get a flu shot?
I did. But I've been told repeatedly that the one I got is the one that the CDC didn't expect, or expected to be the big one, but instead some other thing is bigger, and so I'm not protected against that. I know
sometimes the flu shot can, like, your system can I'm gonna attack all the virus. Sometimes a flu shot that's meant for a different virus can occasionally provide some kind of protection against ancillary viruses. So maybe you're benefiting from that.
I might be. Say. Like, even my kids will get something and then they come around and I'm like, oh no. And then,
have you been eating anything specifically different than them?
More kimchi than any of them.
Maybe that's it. Kimchi is protecting you from the flu.
It might be. I don't, there's a causation.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, although I don't have a data to support it. Other than people always say, oh, kimchi's great, you should eat it.
Have you been eating more kimchi than you usually eat during the winter?
Yes, I have it at least once, sometimes twice.
We have a strong correlation here.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, kimchi's really good for your gut biome because of the fermented nature of it.
Yeah.
And that could just make you stronger in general and keep your immune system healthier. It's not that the kimchi's fighting the virus, but it's keeping your system healthier so that your system can fight viruses easier.
It easily could be that. I also quit sugar in October. I also stopped eating I stopped eating heavy amounts of carbs, lost 23 pounds.
That certainly helps.
That probably helps.
Just better, healthier eating. If you're eating more fruit too, that could help.
More fruit, more veggies. Like, I think that all might have something to do with it. I'm not willing to say 100%, but maybe kimchi is the great cure-all that we just didn't know. It's been a Korean secret for hundreds of years. Maybe that's it, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Maybe not. But anyway, back to this. This is cool. I mean, honestly, think about what this would do for the food industry, because that's the big problem. People lose billions a year when there's a recall because a bunch of meat has, steak has a problem, listeria, or the big batch of chicken got made and that chicken all has whatever that thing's called. I forgot the name of the disease you don't want. Botulism. No, the other one. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you put this stuff on there and suddenly you got a whole truckload of protected meat and you don't have to do as many recalls. I think this sounds great.
and like door handles and stuff where you're constantly having to wipe them down. And if you forget to wipe them down, then they can transmit bacteria. If you just wrap them and they never have to be wiped, IV stands never have, all those surfaces that you're constantly touching never have to be wiped. And this is in a way that won't create new superbugs. Yeah. That's always the problem with antibacterial surfaces, is a lot of times they're coated with antibiotic material,
right? Not
made in a way to discourage antibiotics. And so what they do is they kill some of the bacteria, but they help breed the superbugs that are becoming a problem. I'm not going to say it's impossible for a superbug to develop that could resist this nanoscale wrinkles, but this is a more blanket situation. It's not dealing with the biology of the bacteria. It just means it can't stick.
Yeah.
And that's a lot harder for a bacteria to evolve around.
Imagine they could make little shrink-wrapped glove versions of this. So that when you go to a con like, BlizzCon or DragonCon or something, you just slip your hand into these things and now shake as many hands as you want, touch as many rails as you want.
There's some great opportunities for cosplay material creation there with nanoscale wrinkles in it.
Yeah. I'm in, man. This sounds great to me.
So we're just about 30 seconds away from New Year's in the UTC.
Yeah.
If you want to donate to help the Extra Life charity, bit.ly/DCTV2019. You can go there anytime, no matter whether it's New Year's in your location or not. Scott, you ready for a countdown?
I'm ready. You do it.
All right.
And I got music to back it up. It's a terrible choice.
Let's ring it in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, Ireland!
Happy
England.
New Year! Oh,
And the rest of the UTC.
This is hooray for Hollywood, but hey, all right.
Hooray for UTC. You are the universal time for me.
Now that's great. You guys deserve it. It's you deserve a good new year there in the UK. You get your Brexit crap worked out one way or the other. And
that's right. The count's ticking now. 31 days till Brexit.
That's right. I hope you have a wonderful
man, why'd you have to
time.
ruin their new year by bringing that up?
I know.
Scott?
I shouldn't have brought it up. But we wish you all the best in that time zone as our midnight creeps toward us. Let us know how it is on the other side. Well done.
Indeed.
All right. On that note, hey, a quick note here. All these great stories we get on the show are submitted by people like you. Tom, we should give some credit to a few people who submitted stories this week.
Yes, we've had a long break between these story discussion related episodes of Current Geek, because if you don't know, Current Geek does geeky TV shows. We talk about TV pilots. We do geeky movie reviews of the greatest movies of all time, and we do these discussion shows like we're doing today. So thanks to Wayne Something and Jeff Rose for keeping the spirit alive in the subreddit, currentgeek.reddit.com. It's a great place if you miss these geeky stories in between our discussion related episodes. You can go find them all the time at currentgeek.reddit.com, vote on them, or even be like Jeff and Wayne Something and submit them. So thank you both.
Very nice, indeed, and I concur with that thinking. All right, check this out, everybody. Time for a segment called Keep on Roland. This is where Tom reads me a passage from French literary critic Roland Barthes' seminal work, Mythologies. And I love doing this, so Tom, lay it on me. What do we got this week?
All right. Today's passage is a little long, but it's about wrestling.
Okay. Wrestling like,
right.
On a mat, two dudes, two ladies, whatever, fighting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
However you want.
All
Tag team, one-on-one, whatever.
All right.
In wrestling, writes Roland Barthes, nothing exists unless it exists totally. There is no symbol, no illusion. A-L-L, not I-L-L. No allusion. Everything is given exhaustively, leaving nothing in shadow. The gesture severs every parasitical meaning and ceremonially presents the public with a pure and full signification, three-dimensional, like nature. Such emphasis is nothing but the popular and ancestral image of the perfect intelligibility of reality. What is enacted by wrestling, then, is an ideal intelligence of things, a euphoria of humanity raised for a while out of the constitutive ambiguity of everyday situations and installed in a panoramic vision of a univocal nature in which signs finally correspond to causes without obstacle, without evasion, and without contradiction.
I take that as he means it's just so laid bare. You get exactly what you're getting. There's no artifice. There's no, well, unless you're talking about pro wrestling, which is fake, but you know what I mean? Like, there's no, it's just, here it is.
I think even what he says applies to pro wrestling, which is the artifice isn't in the wrestling. The artifice is in the trappings, right? The wrestling itself is honest. I think you're right. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Chat room is correct. Univocal is a hell of a word.
Univocal is your word of 2020.
Woo!
UTC.
UTC, univocal. Catch it. All right.
Unless you're Scott.
Which unless you're me and you won't catch it at all.
Immune to everything.
Now, if you haven't donated over at the diamondclub.tv, then listen, you should. You should go over there. You should help the kids. If you've still got a little scratch after that, this show is produced by you fine folks at home by going to patreon.com/currentgeek. First, do it for the kids, then do it for the old Scott and Tom over at patreon.com/currentgeek. geek. We'd love it if you did.
The future promises even more startling things to come.
Time for forecast, where we predict the future, and we're going to make a forecast for 2020. Normally it's like, hey, all bets are off, you can do any year you want, anytime you want, whatever, but we're going to pick this year for our predictions, and we're both going to do one, so it's a little bit different than usual. Tom, why don't you begin your prediction for 2020?
I predict that Zoe Brings Bacon will begin 2020 by saying Happy New Year in a chat room. Oh, it already happened.
Ding, ding, ding,
I'm
ding.
correct.
Well done.
Okay.
Hooray for
This is for later in 2020 if you're one of the people already in 2020. My prediction is major cable companies will begin marketing nationwide streaming multi-channel services.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is right now you can get streaming from your cable company, but you have to get it in the area. So if you don't live in a Comcast area, you can't get the Comcast streaming service. If you don't live in the Spectrum area, you can't get the Spectrum streaming service. Also, I live in a Spectrum area, and to get the Spectrum streaming service, I have to call somebody on a phone and I have to add it to my service. It's clunky. It's not competitive with Sling TV, YouTube TV, Hulu Live, even Fubo or DAZN or any of these others out there. So I think you're finally going to see one of the cable companies here in the U.S. step up and say, you know what? Our streaming service is going to be available for you to sign up for online anywhere in the country that you want.
Who do you think kicks it off? I think it's Comcast, Warner?
Probably Comcast. It'll either be Comcast or Spectrum.
Yeah.
Although part of me wants to say it could be a smaller company because they're more desperate. I think you're going to need the leverage of a Comcast or a Spectrum in order to get the channel providers to agree to this. Because one of the things that is holding these companies back is not a lack of will or a lack of knowledge. It's the deals they have for their current carriage are so precarious. They don't want to do anything to upset that because you already see all these blackouts happening all the time anyway. So you're going to need somebody who's got enough weight to throw around to say, hey guys, come on, you see the writing on the wall, right? It's going to happen to all of us. You got to get on board with us now.
Yeah. And this would, in your take, would bring live TV, more live TV to streaming, right? Like the idea is this isn't just
so this is different than Netflix, Disney Plus.
Right.
We need a better word for those, but for lack of a better word, they're streaming video on demand services, which is I decide I want to watch The Mandalorian, and when I decide it, I watch it if it's there.
Right.
These are multi-channel streaming services, meaning you're not getting a catalog like you do on Netflix or Disney Plus. You're getting streaming linear channels like you do on cable TV. They're just delivered over the internet.
Okay, so what you're talking about is PlayStation View, but writ large and through the companies that can make this happen.
Which sadly goes away at the end of January. So we're going to have to stop using that as an example. But yes, exactly.
I'm going to be sad not to be able to use it. All right, well, there it is. I think that's actually a pretty good prediction. Here's mine. Someone, I don't know who yet, could be Oculus, could be somebody else maybe. I don't know. But someone is going to announce in 2020, not deliver, but announce for a delivery the following or maybe 2 years after that, a powerful VR headset that'll be vastly more powerful than any sort of portable solution today, including the Quest, that is finally no bigger than a pair of ski sunglasses. And you know the kind I'm talking about, almost like cataract glasses.
They're not quite wrap around, but they cover your
they cover your eyes, but otherwise they're
wrap around.
They're just glasses, right? Like they're not huge, they're not heavy, they don't look stupid. They're just glasses with eye coverage. And they'll be the bomb. They'll be priced right, like $200. Probably that's way too low. I'm shooting too low. Probably $300. But they'll everyone's going to get one. It will kick off the true VR revolution. It'll be the iteration we need to get to the next phase of this thing, and it will explode. Now, who that'll be, I don't know. Will it be a big tech company like Facebook with Oculus, or Apple, or somebody like that? Will Google do it? I don't know. Will we ever see Leapfrog? What is it?
Magic Leap.
Magic Leap. We're ever going to see that? Probably, maybe. I don't know. But somebody's going to do it, and it's going to be the one that makes everybody goes, okay, now it makes sense. I'm going to do this. It's light. It will change fitness. It will change portability. It will change how they work, and they'll be super smart, so they'll know that if you're wearing them outside and you want to have some vision to let you have that vision, they'll probably be mixed reality to some degree, but a focus on VR. I think it's coming, man. It's coming.
I tell you what, man, I think this is a really good prediction. The only risky part is saying it'll happen in 2020.
Yeah.
Which it might not happen until 2021, in which case you're just going to be off by a year. But I think you're right. I think this is coming. A very slimmed down, because we're already seeing a lot of smart glasses that do a little bit of augmented reality.
Right.
They're better than Google Glass was, but they're not quite what even like a Microsoft HoloLens or certainly what an Oculus headset can do. So the form factor is getting there to do something like this. And I think you're right. I think somebody's going to come with this, and it will be the one that everybody goes, okay, I don't have to have it plugged into a PC, and I don't have to wear a heavy thing on my face that looks stupid, or it looks extra stupid. Even if this looks a little stupid, it'll look less stupid. So yeah, I think you're onto something here. Whether it's this year or later, I don't know, but I think you're right.
It's a critical mass thing, and I think we're getting there. Like the Quest is touching the edge. It's going, hey, we can see it from here. This is okay. All right, we know where we're headed. And I think that the next step is going to be amazing. I'm very excited about it.
And eventually, this will have the ability, and I don't know if your first version of this does, but eventually this will have the ability to take the camera that's pointing outward and not just sense movement, which is what they do with the Quest right now, but show you the world around you, so that these will essentially be augmented reality glasses as well.
Yeah. See, having them be more of a mixed reality solution would be, I think, the way this stuff ultimately is. Like, that's the end goal. It can't all be a closed off VR experience, but I think that the big winner will be whoever can do both of those things really well in a single package. And I would love to own such a thing. That would be awesome.
Agreed.
So there you go. That's our forecast for now. If you guys have other thoughts about what 2020 should bring, you can email us the morning stream, currentgeek@gmail.com. That's currentgeek@gmail.com. Oh, that didn't play. Why? Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Nope, it didn't work.
Well, you figure that out. We're about halfway to the Extra Life goal. So go to bit.ly/DCTV2019 if you haven't kicked a little money over to help kids out for charity. You can investigate all the details there and get the streamathon to its goal.
That's right. I can't find my clip, so I'm going to play this one in its place. Here it is.
Carpe diem.
That's our sign that it's time for the best thing of all time this year. I changed soundboards and lost that file.
It's a new year and a new sound.
New sound. All right, so here's what we usually do. We usually say best thing of all time this week, and it's usually like the thing we're using that week that we're super into. But we thought,
it could be a comic, could be a movie, could be anything.
Anything. But now we're saying, hey, what about the whole year of 2019? What was the best thing of all time this year? And I will start by saying that my pick was going to be, or it's an easy pick.
You should let me start. You
know what? You start because it makes more sense. Yeah, you do it.
Now that I see what your pick is, I should go first. I vacillated on this. I was going to put Baby Yoda as the best thing that happened all time this year. But when I really thought about it, I'm like, Baby Yoda's fun. Will I still be thinking about Baby Yoda in April? No.
Yeah.
Was I thinking about Avengers Endgame this week? Yes. Avengers Endgame capped off an incredible feat of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in tying together a decade of movies in a way that I wouldn't say makes sense if you haven't seen those movies, but in a way that makes a very satisfying story out of the pieces of those other movies that doesn't lean on you having loved all those movies. It just means you have to know the characters, and then you have an incredibly crazy good story that is part two. I mean, this on paper, this shouldn't work. We'll make 20 plus movies over 10 years, and then we'll split the final story that caps off all those movies into two. It's a recipe for disaster, but it worked, and it worked incredibly well. And I would say it's certainly the best genre movie that I saw all year.
Yeah. I mean, for me, even though the MCU technically started in 2008, so we're a little out of the decade, it's still like such an accomplishment. The idea that they would be able to, in the end, specifically with Endgame, and really the last I don't know, 5 or 6 major Marvel movies, all sort of leading up to Endgame, that they took all of these disparate characters with their own storylines, their own stuff to sew up, their own plot issues, their own whatevers, and also that they're crazy different. Like Thor comes from space and freaking Black Widow comes from here and Captain America's from here, but he's also got all this, like they've got all this crazy stuff that exists within comic book worlds and in Marvel in particular. And they somehow made that all work, gave everybody the right amount of screen time, gave everybody the right amount of conclusion and satisfying connecting that you're going to have on a character by character basis, and have the entire thing end well and stick the landing. Like you're right. On paper, this should not work. I don't think it works for almost anything else. And I think that comes down to like the leadership in Marvel Studios, the right minds doing the right thing, hiring the right people. Not every movie is as good as every other movie, but they're all really fun. There's no real stinkers in there. And the fact that they did all of that, I agree 100%. Like an amazing feat that they pulled off. And they couldn't, you know what? I mean, the same parent company, Disney, could not figure out a way to land it just as tightly with Star Wars as they did with the MCU. And it seems crazy.
And this is a good point, because parent companies are made of hundreds of thousands of people. Right. So you can't say, well, Disney's behind it, it'll be bad, or it'll be good, or it'll be indifferent.
Sure.
Because Kevin Feige's team, and not even just Feige, but his team are the ones that pulled off Avengers Endgame, an entirely different team than was working on Star Wars.
And it makes me want them to give the keys over to him and his team and any of their proteges that take stuff over, and give Star Wars, after a few years of letting things settle a little bit, give it to those guys and let's see what they can do with it. Maybe they won't, maybe they will. But in the end, Endgame was an achievement, man. Just amazing. I totally agree. Yeah. Now I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here, because there was so much in 2019 that I loved from a gamer's perspective, from a content consumer's perspective. So many cool TV shows. The Mandalorian is Star Wars for me right now, so that is way up on the list. But if I'm honest, in that 10-year period, the thing that impacted me the most was Fargo. The television show Fargo, which I know is way left field, and I don't think people expected to hear it.
Were you new to Fargo this year, or you just mean the season that came out in 2019?
All the seasons combined. I mean, here's the thing. People listening to me know how easy it is for me just to say Mad Max Fury Road in 2015. All right? I know how easy that is to say. I decided not to give you the easy, okay? Because that's too easy, and I talk about it all the time, and everyone's sick of me talking about it.
Also, it didn't come out this year.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm speaking of the decade, but...
I see.
But for Fargo, you know what? There is no new Fargo in 2019 either. I just realized 2018 was the last season. Oh, I screwed that up.
That's why I asked if you had just gotten to it this year.
Yeah, I screwed that up. That's a big screw up. So I'm going to change it. I have a backup. You want to hear the backup?
Yeah.
Here's the backup.
But now I know your pick for the decade, which is good.
Yeah, my pick for the decade is Fargo. Truly, my pick of the decade, if I'm honest, is Mad Max Fury Road. But my pick of the year... Because it just occurred to me that even though I knew this was for the year, I keep thinking in decade terms because we're ending a decade here. Biggest surprise of the year for me, or my favorite thing I saw this year, is another TV show, and it's the show called Unbelievable on Netflix.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's not nerdy. It's not geeky. It's none of the things I normally am attracted to. What got me here was an incredibly well-written, well-acted portrayal of a horrible thing that happened to somebody, and how they portrayed the follow-up from the police, from detectives, from parents, family, that sort of thing inside of this show, dealing with this very serious rape victim, was mind-alteringly amazing to me. I loved it. It made me think about so many things in a different way, and I don't know why. I don't know why it had such a strong impact on me, but it felt like the first time it was done right. This kind of storyline done right. It could have been exploitative. It could have been just wrong-headed in terms of, how things go. Even the worst people in it, outside of the perpetrator, but the worst people in it who are kind of get a lot of heat in the show, like these male detectives early on in her case, were trying to do the right thing. They were doing their best thing. They're good cops. They're good men. They were trying to do the right thing, but they were just untrained. They don't understand. They don't have the perspective. And so they kind of made it worse without even trying to. And they didn't make any of that stuff easy and unflinching. You had to kind of watch it. And toward the end, when there was maybe even some redemption for one of those detectives who screwed up, and he apologized, and he knew how wrong he had it. Even then, he didn't get the redemption he needed or that he wanted, because that would have been too easy for us as viewers. I loved that show, and I recommend it to everybody I talk to. And people say, "Oh, I don't. If it's about rape stuff, and I don't want to." They want to kind of stay away from it, and I totally understand. Some people are going to have some triggers in there for sure, right? Sure. Like, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but especially dudes. Like, let me just make an appeal to other dudes. You will learn something here, and it's valuable. And it isn't, it's not some feminist message. It isn't. It's something more than that. And it's powerful, and it left me agape. I just couldn't believe it, how powerful that was. And to top it off, the acting and the direction is amazing. Merritt Weaver, for example, Toni Collette, they're incredible in this. I forget the girl's name who plays the victim, but she's so good. She was in Justified, and she's in other stuff. Anyway, just a mind-blowing experience for me, and I highly recommend it to everybody to see it.
Unbelievable. And it's on Netflix.
Netflix original, yeah. And it's a short series. I think it's 7 episodes or something. I don't think there's even a second season planned, although I would love to see these detectives do more cases. It was based on an actual story, so I think maybe this is all they're going to ever do. But I think it's an important piece of it's entertaining, I guess, as entertainment goes, but it just felt important and vital to see. Yeah. So that's a good one. I would tell anyone to see it. It's very good. Okay. That's that. Boy, I got more passionate about that than I expected, especially.
I think it was a good thing that we switched your pick.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Turned out all right. Hey, we got time for an email real quick from a listener. This is from, didn't get his name. I screwed that up and didn't get his name. Let's call him Bill. Bill says, "Hey guys, love the show and really love what you're doing with TV and movie stuff."
Oh, thanks.
That's all he said. I just wanted to say thanks for saying that. That was nice.
Yeah, super nice.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes we get so deep into the pilots and the 200 best movies of all time thing, or all time best movies, that we don't know. We don't know exactly if we're hitting the points you guys want to hit when it's not a discussion show. So lately, I've been getting all kinds of feedback like this from people who just really appreciate what we're doing with those, and so for me and Tom, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
We're just trying to widen out our own perspectives and maybe yours as well.
Plus, it lets us make the show we want to make, and then you guys hopefully respond to that. Autopilot is, speaking of which, is our next episode, and we're going to be doing Hill Street Blues.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
And
if you're not familiar with Autopilot, the idea is we watch the pilot episode of a TV series, and then we talk about the entire series from whatever experience we have. Maybe we've only ever seen the pilot, maybe the only episode we've seen, but we kind of read up a little bit on the show, and we talk about the show in general from the perspective of having just watched the very first episode of it. So yeah, Hill Street Blues, that's iconic for sure.
Yeah, so check it out. That'll be next week right here on Current Geek, although episode will release on Thursday next week. So just so you're aware, today is a little bit special. Right. Speaking of special, we should probably remind people where they go to donate for the kids and the Extra Life and all that. So Tom, remind him one more time before we go.
bit.ly/DCTV2019, bit.ly/DCTV2019. And if you want to watch all of the Streamathon content, if you're watching live right now, head to twitch.tv/DC Streamathon.
Nice. For us, check us out at currentgeek.com, where you can find archives of the show and everything else we got going on. We would recommend doing that. And you can find Tom and I's, Twitter accounts and all that kind of stuff. So please do that. And appreciate all your support on the Patreon. All that kind of stuff is great as well. That's going to do it for us. CurrentGeek.com is the website. CurrentGeek@gmail.com for all your feedback. And you can leave us voicemails at 801-471-0462. We are Current Geek on Twitter. That's going to do it for us. For me, for Tom, for all of you. We'll see you next time. We successfully created a show.
And apparently we'll be rating the VOD Squad in 7 minutes.
Oh, nice.